We experience life as a singular point of awareness, a focused entity that sees, thinks, and ultimately decides what to do. But when you cross the threshold of the skull and peer into the physical tissue, that singularity vanishes. Free will is an illusion. You are a passenger. Beneath the bone, 86 billion specialized neurons form an uncentralized biological engine. Every individual cell is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, optimized for a single high-speed task, the reception and transmission of information. This creates what we call the binding problem. When you look at an apple, the visual color, the physical texture, and the smell are processed in entirely separate neural pipelines. To create a seamless experience of reality, these distant networks must synchronize their electrical firing patterns down to the millisecond. The unified self has no physical home in the brain tissue. It is an emergent projection generated by these overlapping automated networks. Empirical evidence for this fractured architecture emerged in the 1960s. Surgeons discovered they could isolate catastrophic electrical storms by severing a dense bridge of nerve fibers at the core of the mind. This bridge is the corpus callosum. Severing it isolates the left and right hemispheres into two independent entities. The mind's vocal apparatus resides exclusively in the left hemisphere, leaving the right hemisphere fully functional but completely mute. In a classic experiment, researchers instructed a patient's mute right brain to grab a physical key. The hand obeyed, but because the bridge was severed, the speaking left hemisphere had no access to the prompt. It was entirely blind to why the hand moved. When asked why they were holding the key, the patient didn't admit ignorance. Instead, the left hemisphere manufactured a logical explanation out of thin air, claiming they picked it up because they needed to secure a lockbox. This is the left brain interpreter. It is an automated subsystem whose mandate is to observe the behaviors of the body and instantly spin a coherent post hoc narrative to explain them. It creates the illusion of choice to mask a massive undercurrent of subconscious automation. We can map this automation by looking at the exact chronological flow of a decision. This oscilloscope is similar to the equipment used by Benjamin Libet. He fitted subjects with EEG networks and asked them to record the exact millisecond they felt the conscious urge to flex their wrist. This timeline reveals a profound anomaly. The motor cortex fires a massive electrical command, known as the readiness potential, nearly 350 milliseconds before the subject ever consciously registers the desire to act. The biological computer commits to the action and initiates the command long before the conscious ego is invited to the conversation. Conscious choice is a late-stage notification window. Modern neuroscience confirms these findings using transcranial magnetic stimulation, which uses focused magnetic coils to temporarily override localized electrical currents. Researchers use magnetic pulses to forcefully stimulate the motor regions of the brain. When a subject is told to choose a finger to lift, the researcher fires the magnet, forcing the left finger into the air against the subject's will. The psychological response is uniform. The subject never blames the magnetic coil. Instead, they claim they decided at the last second to move that finger because it felt slightly warmer. This happens because the magnetic pulse hijacks the deeper motor pathways. The executive planning centers near the surface remain blind to this external interference. The left brain interpreter seamlessly maps a logical story over the movement, preserving the feeling of control even when the command was generated by a machine. This suggests conscious agency is an evolutionary mirage. It acts as a psychological buffer, preventing the conscious mind from recognizing how much of the vehicle's operation is driven by silent, automated processes. If the brain is a mechanical automaton running on electrical pulses, its source code can be actively rewritten. In 2026, brain-machine interfaces have transitioned from passive recording to bidirectional modification. We have the capability to bypass organic limitations entirely. Robotic surgical arms now implant thousands of microscopic polymer threads directly into the motor cortex. These sensors capture the raw extracellular action potentials of individual cells. Paralyzed individuals are utilizing these systems to translate subconscious motor intent into high-speed fluid movement, operating complex robotic prosthetics at speeds that match natural human movement. Laboratory research has unlocked optogenetics, a method using light-sensitive proteins to turn neurons into optical switches. Researchers can now use precise pulses of laser light to instantly activate or freeze specific neural loops. When we possess the technology to erase traumatic memory traces or trigger behaviors with a laser switch, the biological boundary of self-determination is permanently altered. The data of modern neuroscience dismantles the classical model of human nature. Our subjective awareness is an emergent phenomenon, born from functional connectivity across space and time. Human identity is a collection of overlapping, automated historical networks. Our sense of control is frequently a post hoc story, a narrative designed to keep the internal self intact while the hardware executes the choices. To master our future, we must stop pretending to be the director. Instead, we must learn to gracefully understand and partner with the silent, brilliant machine running inside the dark vault of our skull.